Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button if you have not done so already. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below. You also will see some of the books by our next guest. We're excited to welcome back Jacquiline Cox to our broadcast today. You guys know her from this book, It Can't Always Be Night. Also, this book, Mountains Can't Rise Without Earthquakes. And, of course, her new magazine. She has the newest issue with her. I want to talk to her about what it's been like for her to reflect on this year, her new projects that she's doing with her anthologies, and of course the podcast as well. If you guys are not staying connected with Jacquiline, we'll let you know the best place to be able to find her. Also, we are simulcasting our broadcast, so welcome us tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X. If you guys have any questions or comments for Jacquiline, make sure you guys put those in the chat. But Jacquiline, welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Look, glad to have you. I should let our audience know if you guys are listening to Listen Linda, the podcast. Let me go ahead and highlight it for you guys on the Amazon side. I had the privilege of being a guest of Jacqueline's just yesterday. But Jacquiline, I want to begin by talking about this year. Hey, Carolyn, good to be able to see you. What has it been like for you to reflect on this year, Jacquiline, and all the great things that's been happening with your brand?
To God be the glory. Oh, nobody but God could do what he has placed inside of me to do this year. Oh, it has been a whirlwind of blessings and lessons. Hey, Carolyn, and everything that has transpired just this year alone. I started my podcast, August would be a year ago. And from there, it's just exploded into so many different opportunities, Cyrus. I have, as you said, been able to start the podcast. And right now, yesterday, you actually made the 85th guest to be on that show. And it's just been such a wonderful, groundbreaking experience for me, as well as you know, and a lot of my followers know, my husband and I received the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award for our literature, the work that we have done with our books, and what we do in our communities here in Chicago and in Aurora. Um, it's just been so much stuff. Sorry, I could go down the list, but follow me on Facebook. I put all my business there. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of stuff going on.
So Jacquiline, let's go back then a little bit, because as you mentioned, you started the podcast a year ago. First of all, as I mentioned, your name is Jacquiline Cox, but where did the idea for the Listen Linda part of your brand, where did that come from?
You know what? I wrote a little book called It Can't Always Be Night. Mm-hmm. And that little book has a poem in there called Listen Linda. And Listen Linda actually came from the little boy that went viral for telling his aunt, listen, Linda, listen. And I wrote a poem, a self-empowerment poem for women. And I was really speaking to myself as well, just about putting your foot down, not allowing people to run over you and take over your gifts, and just being mindful and loving yourself. And I took that poem, and I already had, a radio show that I was doing on Station Head called Spiritual Sunbeam Radio. And I turned it into Listen Linda. And I wanted to take the show, as you know, it's usually just women of color, and empower them and do whatever I could to help them promote their books, business, and brands by actually inviting them to meet my audience and be authentic and transparent and just bring them inside of their world. So in order to reach an audience, they have to feel they know you. They have to love you. They have to become family with you, really, to be able to support you in that way. So that's how that became. Listen, Linda.
Hello to you, William. Good to be able to see you over there, William McCrary, joining us on Facebook. But it has become such a big part of what you do, because you have also the magazine, which is Listen Linda. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it in the carousel for those who are on the Amazon side. You have the magazine, you have the podcast, and Jacquiline didn't know I was going to do this. but she mentioned the poem that's in this book. I already had the poem marked. 45 in her book. So I'm going to highlight it for you guys over on Amazon. But the reason I have it highlighted, Jacqueline, is because of what's on page 44. Because I thought about our conversation we had on your radio show. And this was on page 44. The poem is called Facebook Post. I want to read this, and then we talk about the Jacqueline Cox that we see in front of us in 2024. You say this: God brought me a long way, and I realized what's important and what's not. No one can ever make me go back to who I used to be. It's called growth. I'm a good wife, mother, sister, and daughter. If I fall short, I am justified in that. Never apologize for your past. Look toward the future and enjoy today. I want to talk about that because you mentioned something
Amen.
in our interview yesterday about the Jacqueline in front of us now. How has that evolution been like for you to witness about yourself?
You know what? Going back to what we talked about yesterday, a lot of times, especially, I want to say not even just maybe a few years ago, I would allow other people to bring out a side of me that I was not always happy about. Um, and I would do that because we always want to be the victim, because being the victim is always so easy, right? We want to point out the villain in everybody else. But my pastor, shout out to Pastor Bill Winston, he reminds me on a constant that people can only do to you what you allow them to. And that's the anytime somebody tries to hurt you, cause harm to your kids, your family, try to take you down, or take down anything, right? If God is for you, who can be against you? And if you truly are a believer, then you know that your legion of angel is going to always be around to protect you. So there's no need to worry, but there's also no need to allow people inside of your space to be able to take you out of your zone, because once you do that, then you get distracted on your off of your mission. And
Right.
so, in order to not be distracted, we cannot allow that. And I used to allow that into my space because I always wanted to be accepted. I always wanted to be one of the girls because I never had that. So I was always people pleasing, like I told you in the show yesterday. So I always wanted to please and just be that person, to just be that person for someone. And I had to realize, in order to be that person for someone, I have to have enough inside my cup. So I got me a cup and I keep it full now. And if it gets empty, I fill it up. But if it's empty, nobody can speak to me until it's full, because I have to have an overflow in order to be able to give. And if I don't have an overflow, it's nothing that I can give to anybody else.
Yeah, I love that. Pamela, hello to you. Pamela says hello to you
Hey,
as well.
Pam, that's my girl.
And then Laquita says hello.
All my people in
And
the
I, I,
building.
I want to go back though to what you said in this poem though. Again, this is Facebook post, everybody, and from It Can't Always Be Night. Because you said this, and I think this is a great lesson for others. I want to talk about how you've been able to remind people of this. You say, never apologize for your past. Look toward the future and enjoy today. That is a great reminder for us all. But that is not the world that we live in, Jacqueline, where people do that. There are people who not only feel condemned by their past, but other people use their past to judge them and try to hold them down. What has it been like for you to share with others based on what you just shared about the importance of not letting other people do that to them, and be able to extinguish the light inside of them?
When you know who you are and you love yourself enough, you will know that everything that you went through in your past was part of God's plan and his journey to build you up. He broke you down to build you up, to make you strong. So why apologize for your journey to get to where you are? A lot of times we go through things, and then at the end God gives us a blessing, right? And we receive all these accolades and all these things. And so people will see that, and then they will try to say, well, guess what she did last year, or guess what she did 2 years ago to me, or guess what she did, guess what she did, guess what she did, and she's not like this, and she, I don't apologize for anything that I have said, did, or done, or even that was done to me. I know that God took me through a journey to get to where I am so I can have a testimony. And I will never apologize for my testimony because it made me who I am today.
And you talk about that even in the book, Mountains Can't Rise Without Earthquakes. I'm highlighting it for them on the Amazon side. And I made a note of page 91. And you talked about a very difficult situation with Cain in the book there. And the one point I wanted to highlight is what you said there on page 91 for those who have the print edition of the book. You said this: despite the physical and emotional pain I was enduring, a newfound determination began to grow within me. I was no longer willing to accept abuse or live in fear. Then you said, I use another phrase that I love. You say in the next paragraph, with a renewed sense of purpose, I made a vow to myself and to the child I lost. So I want to talk about that because I think a lot of times, as you mentioned, we go through things, and
Mm-hmm.
in this situation, of course, things that you had nothing to do with. What was it like for you to have that renewed sense of purpose, and how has that impacted you today, Jacqueline?
You know what? During that time, dealing with Cain, um, in that chapter, I suffer a miscarriage. I was 4 months pregnant, and the baby was stomped out of me in the street. And I had grown to love the child. I planned on keeping the child, and that was a moment in my life where I was broken, but something in my mind snapped where it said, "You know what? This is the last time this is going to happen to me. This is the last time I'm going to let fear um, cause me to stay." You know, a lot of times people, they say, "Hey, well, I'ma cry as long as I can cry in a Rolls Royce." Well, guess what? I ain't crying, and I'm still gonna have my Rolls Royce. I'm not gonna settle because of what someone else forces me to feel like that should be for me. I'm gonna do like you said. You know how we were talking yesterday about ultimatums.
Yeah,
Don't give me an ultimatum because it'll never be you.
yeah.
It would never be you. It would always be me. And that was that for me. It was like either you be with me or you die. And I was like, well, I die because I ain't gonna be with you.
Mhm.
And so that I took that and I applied that to everything and every aspect. And I also reminded myself that, especially after I had my kids, that I would protect them with my life. I would protect everything dealing with, especially my children, with my life, because I knew that um, I put myself in that situation and I compromised my child.
Mhm.
And like I said, to God be all the glory. God had a plan, and that plan was for my child to be the martyr for me and for my children that were to come. And that was a big lesson that I learned.
There's you and I have talked before.
Hmm.
We had you on Amazon Live before, and I thought about when I was prepping for this segment with you, that Whitney Houston song, "I Didn't Know My Own Strength." Uh,
Hmm.
do you have days that you kind of reflect on books like this when you're discussing it, and think that about yourself, that you didn't know the strength that you had inside of you?
You know what? Since mountains can rise without earthquakes, which is still in the top 100 over a year now on Amazon, but I've written more literature and actually went into more depth about my story, but I always think about my story, Cyrus, even no matter what decision that I make. I reflect on the life that I used to live and the life that I live today, and I'm always thanking God. I'm always thanking God, and I always give Him the glory in every single thing that I do, every accomplishment that I receive, because I know that it was only Him that was able to give me that strength that I did not know that I had. Because growing up in a household of 5 children, with my grandmother taking care of us. I wasn't the youngest. I was next to the youngest, but I was always considered the weakest. I was actually the shy one, if you could believe it or not. I still am compared to my other 4 siblings. You think I got personality? And I was always somebody's sister. I didn't have a name. Nobody knew my name growing up. I was Darcel's sister. I was Jesse's sister. I was, Tristan's sister. I was Charles' sister. I was older. I was, Chico's daughter. I was China's daughter. I didn't have a name. And so, being in the foster care system and going through the things that I was going through, I had to develop a, a shield around me and just protect myself, and I carried that a long way. And within the past year or so, Cyrus, I'm starting to really, outside of my husband and my kids, just being able to just let those walls down and know that everybody is not the villain. But I'm so used to that, that
Yeah.
is, is being hard, and things have happened within the past couple of years to me to try to bring me down or bring down my brand or just attack me, that now I was always on the defense of who's next, who's coming now, and I'm trying to really move out of that mind frame. And because I'm doing that, it has just elevated my brand to a higher level that I could never imagine. I just thank God for that.
Yeah. I want to bring up what Laquita says. Laquita says, "Praise God for the strength you found to choose you." Myra Cook, hello to you. Myra's on Facebook. She says
Thank
hello to
you.
you as well. See you guys over there on YouTube as well. If you guys have any questions or comments for Jacqueline, either on the Amazon side or on Instagram, not Instagram, on LinkedIn or YouTube, make sure you guys put those in the chat. I want to get to the anthologies, Jacqueline, because that is one of the ways that you've been able to share. I have the Kindle edition here, but they can be able to get the Kindle or the print edition. Talk to us about the anthologies and what that's been like for you to continue the Listen Linda brand with those.
You know what? The anthologies, the women of it's called the Women of Listen Linda presents the Women of the Waiting Room. And it's basically branched from the podcast. The podcast, I had a segment called The Women of the Waiting Room, where I would bring in certain guests to basically tell about their journeys of being in their waiting season or in their waiting room, or like we would call the war room, right? And what we do is just tell our testimonies and tell how good God has been to us, and hopefully bring in other people, not just women, but people from all over who may have lost faith, may not know their way, may not believe in God, and are going through some of the things that we are going through, or that we have been through, and just show them, look, God is bringing me through this. God has brought me through this. I suffered from this. I am suffering from this, but I have not lost my faith. And, just like it states in the Bible, Jesus, he healed someone based off their friend's faith. So if we could be that friend for you and have faith for you, God can deliver you too. He can save you too. And that is the mission and the purpose behind the Women of the Waiting Room. And of course, I've had the pleasure and the just the ability to work with, like I told you, I met some amazing women from the clubhouse, this this group called the Book Slam on the clubhouse, and that were all these amazing women here. So I have Dr. Velma. The first time I met her on Clubhouse, she prayed for me as I was reading It Can Always Be Night, because that was my first time actually speaking and actually reciting those poems, and I was unloading, and I just had a breakdown, and my husband was there, and Dr. Velma came on and she prayed for me, and that was my first time actually meeting her. And then I met Teresa Dorsey, she was in the room, Carolyn Coleman, Melanie Johnson, Audrey Ann, and Laquita Parks was actually the person who invited me to that group. And from meeting those women, I have such a bond with them. It's truly, truly remarkable. They support me in everything that I do. And I brought it to them, and they were right on board. Or some of them was like, I'm not doing another nothing. But when I brought it to them, and they were like, absolutely, we just have to do that. And so we did it, and it was seven of us, and I was like, God was like, okay, seven is the number of completion, we're going to end with that. And then Dr. Velma said, you should do a devotional. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a devotional. And I opened it up to anyone who wanted to tell their testimony. It was just such an influx of people from all over the world. So it was amazing. So we had over 30 women to join, and from there we did the devotional. We have the playing cards. I came out with an affirmation and self-care journal that I haven't really been too outspoken about, but it's on Amazon as well. And it has scriptures, and then it also has affirmations that match with the scriptures. And it's a self-care journal where you can actually journal in your letters to God, and every day reflect on Bible verses and affirmations that match with those Bible verses. And it's been out, I think, since about June or July. And it's called Listen Linda Presents the Women of the Waiting Room Self-Care Affirmation Journal. And so that just emancipated into what I think we're going to talk about next, which is the magazine.
Yeah, and definitely, and again, they can find that, and you actually are gearing up for your second edition of the anthology. Is that right? Your second?
Yes. Yes. So we're still recruiting for the devotional. The anthology, I only take a certain amount of people. I have the um the pleasure of having someone on your team as well. Dr. Norma, she
Mm-hmm.
came in as someone new for the waiting room, so I'm very excited to be able to have her come on. And some of the regular people are still there, but the devotional is definitely open. I'm always open, looking for more people to join the devotional. So absolutely, absolutely.
All right. And you mentioned the magazine, and again, as I mentioned, you have the new edition. I think you said the new one just arrived for you as well, the second one. So let's talk about the magazine. So you have the books, you have the Listen Linda podcast, of course, you have the Listen Linda anthology series that you're doing. Talk to us about the magazine, how it came about.
You know what? To be 100% transparent, because we keep it real. With the packages that 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 I offer to everybody who comes on my platform and comes in, um, that are contributing writers for the anthology. I promise certain things in my packages, and with one of the vendors, or the people that I barter with, unfortunately wasn't able to produce what I needed to be done for my people. And I already promised them covers of magazines. So I'm a firm believer, if somebody don't want you to sit at their table, create your own.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided, okay, you don't want to help me? Stuck a pin in it, baby. It was done. I had that magazine up in 2 weeks, and all my people was in it. Look at God. Don't tell me what I can't do. Because I'm a firm believer. If you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to do it to excellence. If you tell me I can't sit at your table, not only would I have a table, but it will be of excellence. It will be of excellence. And I think it was just more so of, don't attack me, devil. Don't attack me, because God gives me gifts,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to show you that I don't have to be in your magazine. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I just make my own.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't it amazing? Jacqueline, I think that, and that is, I mean, that's kind of my motto as well. But isn't it amazing though that people think they can stop something that was not created by them? It is that always has mystified me. that people think by that their no is going to actually stop what's meant for you. But I do want to ask you this. You said something a couple times that I think ties in well with what you just saying about the magazine. How important has it been for you? And again, as you mentioned in It Can't Always Be Night, you mentioned, of course, about this renewal. How important has it been for you to rethink those that you do have around you and making sure they're there to be able to lift you up and not weigh you down?
You know what? A lot of times, I make sure that I use discernment these days. All money is not good money. I've turned down so many people. A lot of times, people, which I don't mind you touching my hem, right? I don't mind you holding on to, or at least trying to rub on my blessing. That's never been my concern. My concern is when people want to use you and misuse you at the same time.
Yeah,
And I've learned that we got two ears and one mouth for a reason. So now I don't listen for what you say you are. I watch and see what you rather do, and I move accordingly. And if I see that I'm always supporting you, and I'm always giving money, time, promo, whatever it is. And then when it's time for me, it's always an excuse. Then I know that it may not be intentional, but people prioritize what they deem important.
yeah,
And if I'm not important to you, that's fine. That's you. That's what you choose, and you have that right to live your life the way that you want to live it. But that don't mean that you're going to have that access to me. I can't be accessible all the time for people who I can't call or I can't depend on, right? So it's just about knowing the people that are for you and knowing people who only want from you.
yeah. So true. Laquita says, so many great things happen. Congratulations again, Jacqueline. Thank you again for trusting Paper V Publishing to help you take your story from a thought to a realization.
Yes,
Uh,
because every book that's here, she has published 13 books for my family just within the past year and a half alone. And each book has been a bestseller.
yeah. Carolyn says, amazing versus foolishness. And I agree, Cyrus. No one can take what God has for you. And that's why I'm so glad that we had a chance to kind of have you on to talk about this year, Jacqueline, but also to let people know what's coming. So, again, the new issue of Listen Linda magazine is out now. This is the first one. You can get the second one also here on Amazon as well. Jacqueline, let them know how to be able to stay connected with you.
You can stay connected with me. You can follow me on Facebook, Jacqueline Cox, LinkedIn, Jacqueline Cox, Instagram, Spiritual Sunbeam 2020. I'm on TikTok. I'm basically everywhere. Hi, Anissa. How are you? You can also visit my website, www.listenlindapresents1.com. Oh, thank you, Myra. You can also stay connected with me through there. Cyrus, I also just want to mention that I just won the Top 100 Stellar Business Award. And I'm very, very excited about that, about my new brand and marketing thing that I'm doing now. And shout out to MetaHelps LLC, Sandra Washington. They just signed with me today. So I appreciate them as well as the clients that I've had in the past. I truly, truly am grateful for everything that the Listen Linda brand is doing now. It's just amazing, amazing, amazing. And so, yeah. And the November issue is coming out. If you guys want to be a part of that, you can place an ad for a full page ad or a half page ad. And I'm also doing, I know I'm doing a lot, but I'm also doing a top 20, Listen Linda's top 25 most influential women of 24. And that will be coming out in November. So anybody that is listening here to Cyrus's show today, if you type in count me in, you can get in now for $200, and that will get you an ad on an article on Pathos. You will get an article in the magazine, as well as your face on the cover of the magazine, and sent straight to you. So you'll get a customized copy. You'll get an article on Pathos and a 15-minute interview with me. Awesome. And that's $100 off. But it has to be today. You have to sign up today for that offer.
All right. Well, congratulations to you again, Jacqueline. Glad to be able to catch up and looking forward to our next chat together.
Thanks, Cyrus. Peace.
Another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon.
Oh, wait, Cyrus. I know. Wait a minute. Am I guess 700?
No.
Oh man, why you put my picture up there? I thought I was 700. I was telling my husband, I said, yeah, I'm 700 guess.
No, I have a guest that's after you that's actually number 7, but you were the first one of the day, so that's why your picture showed up.
Well, I'm 699.
And we thank you all for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
You should have had them before me.